Alright, now we're going to go and do the C-notches on a 94 Toyota pickup. This is something that can be done on anything. I mean, this is the C-notches. They can be done on just about anything. So this is what I'm going to be doing it on. That's my truck. Let's get started. Alright, I went ahead and removed the shocks. Probably not going to need those for a while. And then, if some of you guys can tell me what this actually does, this control here, before I start cutting it up, I'm thinking, if I'm not wrong, that I can take this, I don't know what it does in here, but I can take this, because it's already been bottomed out. So if I cut it off right about here, and then just bring it up, and then make it so that it holds and it doesn't move. I know I'm going to have to relocate all of this because it's going to go right where the C-notch is going to go. I also have to cut this cross member out, which this is the main cross support, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I got to cut it off because my C-notch, see where the axle is? I'm going to have to go from there to there. So where that mounts, that's where the C-notch is going to go, and where this is, that's where the C-notch is going to go. So I have to cut that out, and this will be relocated because this is going to go up. Basically what I'll do is I'll relocate this to the inside of the C-notch up higher. That way my brake cable that attaches to the axle can still go up and down with it. Alright, what I did was I marked center of the axle on top here, the center of the axle on top there. I'm going to allow myself, it's 3 inches of axle, and then I'm going to allow myself 3 more inches on either side of that. So the bottom of my C-notch is going to be 9 inches wide, and then it'll end up, see, 9 inches wide this way, and then at either end I'll end up 45ing it up and up like that. That'll be my top piece, and then I'll measure from there down on both sides of the C-notch to weld it together. When I cut this cross member out, that's pretty much where the C-notch is going to go into. So all that has to be cleaned up. And what I'll do is the C-notch, I'll cut it into here and across and that way, so that it leaves this outer still there. And the C-notch will end up going into the frame, leaving this outer wall here, but into the frame. And I'll be able to weld it there, and then down both sides. Alright, I made a template of my C-notch. This is going to be an 8-inch C-notch. It'll actually be about 9 inches, and that's from the bottom of the frame to the top. That's how I measure it. This is going to be 9 inches, and I've got a different way that I'm going to do it to get it into the frame, which will actually add about another ½ an inch. So it'll be 9.5 inches tall, which will give me plenty of room underneath for the axle to come up into here. So I just took some simple, just regular board, and what I did was I built my C-notch, and then I went ahead and cut them where I wanted them to cut them. And then I've got this, because this is the driver's side. See, the D is for driver's side. So when you set this up straight up and down, that's what your C-notch is going to look like. Then on the other side, of course, is the 2, because you're going to make both sides the same to put them in there. So you take these, and you take your 2x4 metal, and you put it on there, and you scribe, and then you cut them out. Okay? So that goes on there like that, and I just cut out my pieces. This is all I'm using, an angle iron. Takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it. I mean, if you don't have an actual bandsaw cutter, which I plan on getting one, I'd like to get a bandsaw cutter, and that'll be able to get rid of that. Okay, on to the next of what I'm doing. I got to make all these pieces. Alright, here's the notch. Got both sides cut. Now what I'm doing, or what I already did, was I wanted to make sure that they would match up real close. So I take them like this, take the 2 sides that are coming together, like right there, and put them side to side. Right here, clamp them using clamps. I use my angle grinder, which now I have an actual grinding wheel. It's a lot thicker. And let's see, I have a big right angle, so I made a a smaller right angle. And that way I can put it on the side right there, and I can make sure that it's going to match up all the way up and down, and then it'll get real close. And it's okay if there's a gap, because you're going to weld across there anyway, so you need a little bit of a gap for the weld puddle to fall in there. Well, at least I do. I don't know about some of you professional guys. Alright, this is an easy way to do this if you don't have all the proper tools. Is take some bungee straps, or in my case I got rubber bungee straps, and tie your angle grinder to a sawhorse. Then I like to bevel the edges to allow for a, well, pretty much like a deeper puddle between the pieces. But this way I can go ahead and use this to angle them off. Just makes it easier. Get it? And there we are, welded them up. Got them together. Those are my little gnarly welds. Some of them look better than others, but they're together and I like them. So let's go put them on the truck. All right, earlier in the day, more shade. All right, like I said, I've got to cut this stuff out. I've got to clean it out and get it ready for the C-notch to go in. All right, went ahead and removed my gas tank. There's 3 bolts on the front, as well as the 3 bolts on the back. You can get to them by taking the skid guard on the front. There's 2 bolts to take the skid guard off, and then you can get to the main bolts underneath there to pull the tank. I went ahead and I put a plastic bag around all the hoses, and then I wrapped it real tight with electrical tape. That way I don't have any risk of excess gas flowing out, gas fumes, while I'm cutting and welding and making sure that I don't catch on fire. So that's very important. And then I just pulled it right out the top. It was the easiest. My tank wasn't very full, so it made it easier for me to pull. You might need a friend if you have a full tank. And then I wrapped a plastic bag around the end there and put just a little piece of electrical tape there, just to hold it from getting dirt and dust and bugs and whatnot in there. And I also capped that line, whatever it is. But anyway, I don't want no dirt in it. All right, that step's done. I've got those pulled out of there. I'm tired. Basically, there's a weld that goes around them. So take your angle grinder with a really thin wheel, cutting wheel, and go around the outside edge of that, and then you can slowly start popping it off. I just want it to be clean, so that's why I'm doing all this. That's going to have to be plugged, so I'll have to make a template to go in there and then weld that back up, as along with the outer circle. Whatever's left hanging open is what I'm going to do. That may not have to be all the way covered. All depends on where the C-notch goes. So now I'm going to take the C-notch, I'm going to set it up there, and I'm going to make sure that the C-notch is exactly where I want it. Trim the bottom of the C-notch whichever way it needs to. See the C-notch there? I'll trim the bottom off as much as I need to on both sides. And then what I'll do is I'll come in, I'll set it next to it, and I'll mark it as to where it needs to be cut. And then I'll cut on the inside up and into, over to here, up, out, and down, so that the C-notch will slide right in there on both sides. I'm getting it mocked up. Remember, I put that center mark there, and then I measured halfway to halfway between those, and there's my center part. That matches up. I'm making sure that it's level with the frame. That way it won't look entirely weird when it gets all put back together. And what I'll do now is I'll take my screwdriver and I'll scribe marks on the inside of the frame, and that's where I'll cut it out. That way that goes right into it on both sides. And then once I get it welded in, I can cut this piece and this piece off. And it actually looks like it's going to go right there and cover up the entire hole. So that's good as well. So let's get that done. And after you're done cutting those pieces, then weld it all in. There it is. Get your stuff welded in. Now you've just put a C-notch on your truck. So enjoy. Don't forget, you're going to have to put a cross member on there. And we're going to do that next week. I'm going to put a cross member, and I got to get started on making all of my parts to be able to get the suspension done. And I think I might go with a regular triangulated 4-link, and I'm probably going to end up moving my tank behind the rear axle, and then that way, well, there's no front axle, but yeah, behind the axle, and build some mounts for it back there. That way I can do a regular 4-link. I haven't ever had a regular 4-link, so comment at the bottom, subscribe wherever it says subscribe, and give me some thumbs up. I'm tired. That's why my voice sounds like this. I moved my bed to the back, and it'll sit back there until I get this done, which I've got 3 more weekends that I want to try and get this done. So I'll be working on it as hard as I can for the next 3 weekends. So enjoy, and I'll see you guys next weekend.